Guys, what's up? How's it going? It's John, and thank you so much for tuning in. This video, I want to talk about some unique systems back in the 90s that were kind of an important part of gaming history. And many of you may not know about these. Some of you guys probably do know about these. There's several third-party companies that came out with them in the 90s. The first one I want to talk about, the first one is a Mr. Backup Z64 unit. This was an attachment, obviously went on top of the N64, came out in the 90s. It was available in China. And how it would work is you'd plug in on the very top, you put it in your N64 game on top as well, and there's these zip disks. And for those who are young and may not know what a zip disk is, a zip disk looks like this, or actually it looks more like, let me take one out for you. It looks more like this. It's a disk system, right? I remember I'm old school. I remember the floppy disk. This is obviously after that. After zip disks were CDs, of course, then these basically went away. You could put like 4 to 5 games on here. You would just plug it in. You could dump the ROM to the zip disk. You could save it, library it, and you could plug it in and play off the disk, which is unique. I guess suppose if you were making your own homebrew game back in the day, you could play those ROMs as well. This is not emulation. It's playing on the original hardware. So that's something I just want to clarify. It's not emulation. But this did have an important impact on the emulation system scene today because, as you know, emulation obviously is still very big today. And I think emulation has its purpose. It's a part of history for sure. Obviously, Nintendo is a huge opponent of ROMs and emulation. I can understand why. I can understand why back in the 90s, if you're a game developer, how this would be frustrating when systems like these would come out. People would rip these games, share them among their friends. This unit back in the day retailed for $300 US. But today it's interesting because Nintendo, back even like with the Wii and the Virtual Console, they actually took ROMs back in the day and used games like Mario Brothers and ROMs and used it for the Virtual Console. So that's kind of interesting that they're opposed to it, but yet they're kind of, if it weren't for some of these ROMs that were downloaded back in the day, perhaps these games wouldn't be available today for Nintendo to use and share and sell, etc. So there's arguments you can make on both sides about ROMs and emulation, but this is basically like kind of the birth of ROMs and emulation, how they came to be. So this is a really cool attachment. Unfortunately, the disc is stuck in here, and this is my buddy's unit, Kirk. I'll put a link to his channel below, Cubert Addict 1. He loaned me this system, and really generous of him to do that. But it doesn't come out. I got to figure out how to get this disc out. Once I do that, I will do another video and highlight kind of how this works. Very simple, easy. They're very dependable units, which is great. It has a separate power supply. Very, very cool. There's also the next one is a system I've owned for a while. This is called the CD64 Plus. There's another company that a little more common called the Dr. V64. And these came out also during the same time. What's the difference between this and the one I just showed you? This would work on the CD base, so you just burn it to a CD opposed to a zip disk. So you can put a little bit more memory on this. Very cool unit. It attaches to the bottom, almost like a 64 disk drive or DD system, right? The next system I'm going to share with you is also Kirk's, and I appreciate him lending these to me. There's 2 of them. There is a Profighter X2 as well as a Profighter X1. And this is how it works. It attaches to a Super Famicom unit, very similar to this Z64 I just showed you. And what this does, same thing. There's a disk system tray here, and you put your cards here, and you basically would burn the ROM onto it. Very unique. They're very hard to find today because even sites like eBay, they don't allow selling of these units because they're considered illegal even today. So very unique, very rare. I'm not quite sure how many of these were produced, but they were fairly popular. They were released in China back in the day, available through China. I'm not quite sure the resources of how people knew about these because it's not like you can actually read about these in Nintendo Power or anything like that. But I want to show you, Kirk has a whole bunch of these disk drives, bunch of games. Let me just open up a few, share with you some of the games they have on here. And he let me know that some of these games are like games that were unreleased or some beta games, pretty cool. So again, I'm hoping to get these to work, and I'll do another video soon, hopefully, to share with you how that works. Magic Tetris, Zelda, Puzzle Bobble. Also, through this Mr. Z64, you can also do MAME, which is called, saw some videos. Dinky Dana, who's got a great channel here, as well as an old video where he's actually playing like arcade games through the N64 through this unit. I guess the pro sides of these units they're kind of expensive back in the day. With $300, you're paying as much or more for these attachments than you are actual system. Although you'd really make your money back if you're renting games from Blockbuster, for example. You have a disc, you dump the ROM, put 4 or 5 games onto the disc, and then you return the game to Blockbuster. That's what a lot of people did. You could create a huge library of inventory of games. Pretty unique. What's cool about these discs is you can rewrite them. CDs, obviously, you can't rewrite. Once you burn to a CD, it's burned. So there's pros and cons of both. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys watching, liking this video, subscribing, turning on your notifications. That's awesome. We'll see you guys soon. Take care and game on.